Oh, this tea is delicious.
Isn't it? It's the Manuka honey.
Yeah, I'm sick, but the film journey continues, so, gotta do a video. What's up, y'all? It's KB, and if you're like me, you love movies. I am continuing my film journey, and for the last 2 weeks, most of it has been the Panic Film Festival, which is held here in Kansas City annually. And most of the movies that I will be discussing will be things that I've seen either in prep or at the film festival. I was almost able to get through most of it. I had to bail out for 2 of the nights for 2 different reasons, but both of them concerning health. And I'm just recovering from a cold. Today's probably the first day I could take a full breath without coughing my lungs out and body aches and all the things that happens when you get older. So I have my tea here, and I'll be trying to get through this with the help of the tea, and hopefully we can make it through. Come on this journey with me, and I want to thank you for your support so far, but we're just going to recap the last 2 weeks of things that I've seen either at home or at the festival, so hopefully you enjoy. So, in prep for Panic Fest, I rewatched Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. I can tell you I'm not a fan of the Thorn timeline, so these 3 movies, not my biggest thing. When H2O came out, I was a bigger fan of that. So, just watch it in prep for what was going to be shown on opening night, as well as Halloween 5, and I would say 4 is, of the 3, my favorite one. Kind of goes downhill from there for me. Something about 5, it's just, I don't know, kind of wacky. And by the time we get to Curse, that's probably the worst of the 3. But I rewatched them anyway in preparation. From there, I wanted to fulfill my 52-week challenge, which was a sports film, trying to watch something I hadn't seen before, and I decided, hey, let me watch my Blu-ray of Iron Claw. Couldn't find it. So luckily it was streaming on Max, so I was able to check it out. Great film, hard watch. And I remember that family from my days of watching WWF, now WWE. I don't watch that anymore, but I do remember the family, especially the brother Kerry, and I don't know, this is a one-timer for me, as great as it was, because it's just in that category of I never need to watch this again. So if I find a Blu-ray, I will pass it on to you, Justin. More on that later. From there, we went to Panic Fest opening night, and it was sponsored this year by Paramount Scares, among other people. For the 30th anniversary, they decided to show Halloween Curse of Michael Myers on the big screen. I'm figuring I've never seen it on the big screen, 4K. Maybe I'll get a different appreciation for it. Nah, not at all. But I'm recording this on Sunday, so I will say happy birthday to Paul Stephen Rudd. Between this and Clueless, these were his first 2 movies. And rock chalk, that's all I got to say to him. KU alumni there, but not his best work. Not his best work. But you work with what you're giving. So that's what I'll say about that. From there, we followed up with a new movie, which is currently out in theaters now, called Hell of a Summer. This is the Finn Wolfhard movie, along with his writing partner. And this is typical summer camp slasher tropes that are thrown in here. I will say that I'm not the target audience at all, but I'm trying to be more flexible with movies when they're not aimed toward me, and I'm not critiquing it for some reason, like a film review. But I enjoyed this one. It was great, and something that I might say more than once is that there's something different about seeing a movie with a festival crowd versus just streaming it or seeing it in the theater. But I had fun with this, and everyone in the theater seemed to enjoy it as well. That name that's in my review there was something that was actually being chanted in the lobby after seeing the movie. So check it out. It's a fun movie, and you might find yourself chanting that name as well. This was shown on Friday. This was a fun, zany movie. Horror, comedy, musical, Estonian, just over the top. I don't know where they're going to show this, if it's going to be on Shudder or whatever the case may be, but definitely check out Chainsaws We're Singing if you get a chance, because it's just crazy. And I can't even laugh. But anyway, it's trying to be a little Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's trying to be a little, I don't know, like Seth MacFarlane kind of thing. It's just all over the place. But there are jokes that keep coming back, punchlines. It's just funny. Once again, a festival crowd will make a movie like this just seem over the top, zany, and fun. So we had a great time with this one. From there, we watched this movie. I'm not going to try to say the title here because it could be for Waka, it could be Free Waka, it could be Waka Flocka Flame. I don't know. But there were subtitles for the Irish accents and also for the Ukrainian language that was used. And this told the story of a primary care worker who she just lost a mother, and then she got assigned to go help an elderly lady. And the lady and the house that she was in, just everything was a little bit off. And the great thing about this is this had great sound design, and the sound design helped add to the creepiness of the movie. And there were little things that were taking place that didn't exactly tie up in a bow, and if they did, that would have added to the story, but the payoff at the end worked. So I will say that. Next one that we have here is It Feeds. And this was an interesting movie. You had two stars, Ashley Greene, who you might know from the Twilight series. She played Alice. And also Shawn Ashmore, that you might know as Bobby or Iceman from the X-Men movies. And it took me a little while to realize that, hey, these are people from movies 15 or 25 years ago. And, we all get older. So it was interesting to see them as mother and father to daughters in kind of like this duality plot line going on. Each of them doing something similar, which is the role of a parent to protect the child. So in this, we have Ashley Greene's character, who is a psychiatrist, and she has supernatural abilities where she can tap in to the mind of her patients. So regular psychiatrist, but she also has special clients. Let's say she is met by this young girl who has this entity attached to her. And as the title implies, it wants to feed, either on its hosts or others. And it's a great story. It uses some of the tropes, as you can imagine. For me, I just wanted more out of it, more originality, besides just the basic plot line, but also more originality in the risks that it takes and everything. But it was really good, and I really enjoyed it. I met the director, who is the chief filmmaker, and it was a great experience. The thing about a festival is you always have a Q&A for most of the movies, most of the larger movies afterwards. So it was nice to meet him there, and I'll mention a few other Q&As as we go along. But I really enjoyed the movie, and I can't wait to see it again. Next one that we saw was the last one of the night, which was Don't Let the Cat Out. And the best way I could describe this one is an affluent couple goes out for the evening, enjoys an evening out, while a college graduate, like a graduate student or whatever, is watching their house, who includes their cat. So they leave a list of do's and don'ts, and the last one, of course, is don't let the cat out. And It's a little wacky, a little crazy. It didn't really do it for me. Maybe it's because it was late at night. I don't know. I wasn't up for that last movie. I'll just say that. Interesting. If you could catch it streaming sometime, if it gets distribution, you make your own decision. Tell me what you think of it when you get a chance to see it. Before we start to talk about the next movie, I forgot to mention that I had a chance to hang out with the Rad Pack. They showed up again this year for Panic Fest, so we had Garrett from Born to be Rad and Mel from My Killer Podcast coming into town, as well as Justin, who is here local to Kansas City. They were there the night before to check out the last two movies. Garrett really enjoyed Don't Let the Cat Out, and they were there the next day for Descendant. They were also joined by Daniel from Cobweb Channel and also Chris from Figure It Out Films. Really glad to meet those guys and to check out some movies with them. So the first one that we got a chance to see was Descendant, and this was an alien abduction movie. Guy, pregnant wife, he has a moment with a bright light, and you can imagine what happens from there. It was a bit of a slow burn, and unfortunately for me, the ending didn't pay off enough. Otherwise, it would have been a better film, but it was still solid. You know, sometimes you have a slow burn that works, sometimes it doesn't. This one worked for me. I just wanted more in that ending, but solid film. I would say the next film was not only the highlight of the day, but also for the weekend, and that was Freaky Tales. Now, this one, I would say definitely go and see. I love anthologies that work. Sometimes they don't, but this one definitely worked. It's focused on Oakland, California in 1987. And if you know anything about Oakland, the music scene, there was two things. There was punk rock music and there was hip hop. So the stories kind of tell tales of a story in the punk rock scene, and then you have a story in the hip hop scene. If you know anything about Bay Area back in those days, then you know about the rapper Too Short. He's very instrumental to this film. He is the narrator. He makes a cameo. I will say nothing else about cameos. I will tell you, do not look on IMDb. Do not look on Letterboxd to see the cast. Just go see this movie. Pedro Pascal is there. If you see in the poster, you got Jay Ellis from Insecure and Top Gun Maverick in there, as well as Ben Mendelsohn. Just go check it out, because I love the way the stories come together in this anthology, and it really gives you a flashback to the whole scene in Oakland back in 87. So if you're a fan of West Coast hip-hop or punk rock music, there's cameos. That's all I'll just say. But definitely go and check out Freaky Tales and tell me what you think. You know, I think it was really good. It was the darling of the festival for me, and I hope you really enjoyed it. This was definitely one that got major rounds of applause from the audience. The movie that won marketing of the weekend of the festival was Marshmallow. So after Freaky Tales, we went outside, get some air. There was this lady saying, hey, go around the corner if you want to meet the director of Marshmallow, take a picture, and get a t-shirt. Now, I'd seen these people walking around, yellow t-shirts, look like camp shirts, you know, and I was curious. So we went around the corner, and there was kind of like a food truck set up, but it was a lady with shirts, and there was this figure, this tall figure in a white outfit with a sparkly cattle prod, and they were posing for pictures with people, and then they were getting shirts. So we lined up and we took a picture with this person. And yeah, we went to see Marshmallow, and this is a story of a young kid, and he goes off to summer camp. He's very sheltered and everything, and he goes off to summer camp, and something is not right there. And he has an interaction with this tall figure, just like we see outside at the truck before the movie started. This also fulfilled a weekly challenge for me with the 52-week challenge, because The next one was The Kids Are the Stars. And in this movie, that is the case. Stars of the movie that were there, as well as the director and producer, and the kids were definitely the stars in this movie. So I would recommend it when it comes out. I think it comes out next Friday. So another summer camp slasher, but definitely check it out. Let me know what you think. It was very interesting. I will say that much. Solid movie. And then it became time for the late night movie. And we came across Touch Me. You read these film descriptions at a festival, and it's always one that's a little interesting. So shout out to my homie Jill Six. She did the intro, brought up the director of the movie, and he gets up there and he says, "Who's ready for tentacle porn?" And people are like, "Whoa." Actually, he said, "Who's ready for tentacle?" And then the movie started. As you notice here, a line from the movie was, "Can we have cross-species intercourse?" It was a funny, very interesting movie. But I will say this, there were a lot of movies that carried themes of trauma and grief, childhood trauma or early life trauma. And this was no exception. This was there. It was there in Descendant. It was there in Marshmallow. A lot of the movies had that theme, as well as some other stuff as well. Basements, bloody noses, crying babies, tropes, elements, and also themes. So yeah, Touch Me was no different, but was not ready for that. Not ready for that. Also not ready for it was one that I didn't even leave a rating for, which was Straight On Till Morning. This movie was part road trip, part torture survival movie, and told the story of two women, and they were cross-country trip, and they stopped at a rest stop. And I'm not a big fan of rest stops, and this movie verified one of my reasons why. So it goes from there, and there were scenes that were over the top and unbelievable, but at the same time, definitely things that you don't want to come across. But I felt like in certain ways it went too far. So, but it was worth seeing at least once. This was an interesting one. I'm not a big fan of found footage. If you've been on the channel long enough, you might know that. But What Happened to Dorothy Bell was an interesting one. And basically it told the story through VHS tapes and modern technology as far as video recording of a granddaughter trying to figure out what happened to said grandmother. And it includes Lisa Wilcox, Alice from Nightmare on Elm Street 4 remaster, and it includes an interesting kill. I will say that much. But here's something you don't hear me say often about movies. I wanted a little bit more. I wanted to spend more time with these characters. I wanted a little more character development, and it could have ran like another 10, 15 minutes. But all that, it was a good one-timer for me. The evening movie, there were two movies left on that night. This was Sunday. And this one was starring Nick Cage. So needless to say, it was sold out. All the past people were there, as well as people who bought individual tickets for The Surfer. Didn't work for me. Go read the description. I'm not even going to talk about it. As I sit here, I don't even care anything about the movie and what happened. That's how bad it got. But you check it out if you like to. I don't know when it's coming out. Don't care to share it. It was so bad I didn't stay for the last movie. I just said, I'm done. I'm going home. So Monday, my wife had surgery, so I couldn't go Monday night. It lasted a lot longer than we anticipated, so we just skipped Monday, and I went Tuesday. On Tuesday, we saw Super Happy Fun Clown. two reasons why this was an important film. One, this was a short in a previous year at Panic Fest, and it's really cool when you see a short turn into a feature. And the second reason is it was mostly made here in Kansas City, and the cast and crew, most of them are local as well. So it was really cool. They were in attendance, and we saw them afterwards hanging out. And it's a fun, I don't know if I could use that word. It's an interesting movie. I will say that much. But I didn't even get a chance to rate this one. But definitely worth checking out the short if you can find it, and checking out the feature when you can find it. The second movie of the night, I should have left. I really anticipated seeing David Cronenberg's The Shrouds. This is a science fiction drama film, which unfortunately left me, I don't know. I had the same problems with Crimes of the Future that I had with this one. Maybe I'm just an old school Cronenberg fan. I don't know. The thing about when you go to a festival, at the end, there's always some kind of round of applause, whether it's short or long. And no one clapped at the end of this. Not a single person. There was almost silence. Then people just got up and left. Never seen that. Never seen that. So that says something. It might speak volumes, but you check it out when it comes out. Tell me what you think. Then I got sick. So I missed out on closing night. I missed out on Clown and Cornfield and Ugly Stepsister. I really want to check out those two. And we got the news that Val Kilmer passed away. So I turned around and I rewatched Val. You could easily watch, Real Genius and The Doors and Top Gun Maverick. But if you really want to find out about him, there's a documentary on Amazon Prime. You could stream it. And he's interesting because he's videoed most of his life from a young age up until his passing. So it's a documentary with all this footage, and it's narrated by his son, Jack, who sounds a lot like a young Val Kilmer. And it goes through his career, and it's just very interesting. It's honest, it's raw, and I'm not going to do any videos and top fives or anything like that, but I just wanted to put this out there to say I watched it, but I just needed to reconnect with this documentary, so that's all I did. I'll always throw on Top Gun Maverick or whatever the case may be, but that's all I needed to do to say, rest in peace, Mr. Kilmer. We love your movies. I know when I'm feeling better or starting to, because I start to fall into things that I'm used to doing. Wake up, want a cup of coffee, and I want to watch my movies. So I was able to check out the 4K of Streets of Fire. I got that on the Shout Select sale, so I decided to crack it open, check it out. This is another one of those 80s movies that just seemed like a feature-length music video. And the great thing about it is it's anchored by two great musical performances to start and end the movie. So I used to love this movie when it first came out, VHS in the 80s, and it still holds up for me. So the 4K looks great, great sound, and I found myself watching the special features afterwards. So glad I picked it up on the Shout Select sale, and it was fun. And finally, I was hanging out with my wife and my daughter, needed something funny to watch, but also, a little dramatic. So we threw on When Harry Met Sally. My daughter had never seen it. Nice rom-com. And what I found this time watching it is I'm a big fan of movies where the town or the city becomes like a character themselves. So Sacramento and Lady Bird. And I recently was asked what are some New York films that I enjoy. I didn't mention this, but while watching it, I was like, wow, this is really making me nostalgic for being back home, being in New York City. And this is one of those films where New York is a character. All of the different places they go to, whether it's Central Park, Washington Square Park, it's like, you know the city, you know where these scenes took place. And it's a character on itself, as well as great performances by Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan, famous scenes, Kat Stelly, the scene if you've seen the movie, I'll have what she's having. So, yeah, it was great, and I really enjoyed watching it again. So, had a great time at Panic Fest. Want to thank everyone for coming out. It's always great to see movies with other movie lovers, and especially an environment where everyone seems to be there for the same reason and enjoying cinema. And I watched a recent video over on Serial at Midnight, and Heath was just talking about, losing hope as far as the state of cinema and movie going and everything like that. And I put in his comments to have faith. There's still good experiences going to movies, and it's where most of the movies were sold out, the passes were sold out for the festival, and it's great to be in that environment with other movie lovers. So we're still out there, and I would encourage all of you who truly love movies, not just collecting, not just streaming, but get out to the cinema, support your movies while they're in the theaters. I know teenagers, prices, terrible movies, whatever. Support them, because that's the only way we will continue to get any kind of movies. And that's the only way we'll continue to have places to go watch movies. Get out there and, I always say the same thing at the end of these, but go watch a movie. Seriously. Go watch a movie in the theaters, because that's the only way we keep this thing going. If you truly love movies, go watch a movie. That's all I got to say.